for the last year and a half COVID contact tracing. Those individuals have been doing this work. They're prepared and they're professionals. We know that they can offer their assistance to the school district in order to contact trace, so that our principals, our educators, our school clerks are not spending hours upon hours trying to track down something, right? They don't need training on how to be a contact tracer. We need professional contact tracers who've been working for the last year and a half on that, and the city can help with that immediately. We know that students are getting COVID, and disproportionately, it only makes sense. The narrative that students don't get them in schools is a false narrative. It's not that they don't get them in schools, it's that school districts have systematic levels of discipline, which is just behavior. We know we can help hundreds and hundreds of students in our building behave consistently. We know that. But we also know that COVID is running rampant, surging in communities, and we know that the most vulnerable people are unvaccinated, and we're in person. So who are the most vulnerable people? Our youngest students. And we don't want anything bad to happen to them. Therefore, these measures that we are demanding are both proactive and immediately needed.
Did we go back to school? Did the kids go back to school, especially the young ones who aren't vaccinated?
You know, there's been a lot of folks who have been operating in schools across different places, across the state and the globe, where with all of the mitigation strategies in place, it is totally possible and safe to do so. We love teaching in person. Educators love teaching in person. We want the children to be safe while they're learning. And we know that they can't do that if we don't have safe school sites to do that. Our working conditions are student learning conditions, which is why educators always fight for communities in schools.
I'm with KPU, Steve Zeltzer, with WorkWeek. Where's all the money that has been spent by the federal and state government to refurbish the schools? Have an accounting of why it's not been spent on ventilators?
If you're talking about the larger state funding crisis, or that of which our
special funding, there was all this money, federal, state money was allocated for COVID. I mean, billions.
Understood. Yes, and that is one-time funding. We're talking about the $12 million that the school district was able to qualify for. We're talking about the American Rescue Plan funds, which we know are coming. This is why we're putting on the pressure of our electeds. This needs to happen now. As far as the monies that's come from the state thus far as one-time funds, we haven't seen that come in. We've not seen any plans run across to do that, right? This is why we're putting on the public pressure. It's no longer a trust that it will happen. It is we need the eyeballs on the plan. We need to see the balls rolling, and we want to know when and where.
Are you saying that they haven't protocols for testing at the schools? That you're going to go back, there's teachers, students, and staff are going to go back without testing protocols?
So there aren't right now, and that's up to DPH. San Francisco Department of Public Health doesn't require the testing of anyone. You can check. They have more specifics on their website. They're very clear with their COVID. They have created the floor of standards, not the ceiling.
What do you want the school district to do?
We want the school, we are aware that the school district cannot do this alone. We know that the school district can do everything they can and more when they're working with the other municipal powers that be, right? We need them to be working with DPH. We need them to be working with the city, not just the supervisors, but also the mayor, to implement a widespread strategy of the best quality of education in person. And the way to do that during COVID and during air quality crisis is to have universal testing for everyone. We need to have high quality masks available for everyone. And we need every school space to have air purifiers for when we do have to realistically close the window. We don't want to close schools. We want to stay open safely. That's what needs to happen.
And Cal OSHA, where is the state government? Have you had safety inspectors go through the schools? Safety engineers go through the schools from Cal OSHA?
So the only thing that was required was DPH clearance. And DPH, according to the school district, cleared every single school site before it opened.
And these are the students who said that they're rats?
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. We're talking about systemically underfunding school sites for years. We're talking about Prop 13 from the 1970s that continues in place. We put forward and helped support to get Prop 15 on the ballot 2 years ago, to try and get a refresh just on commercial property alone, that Disneyland and Chevron, for example, and Shell, some of the largest landholders in California, would pay property taxes at 2021 rates instead of paying the 1970 rates that they currently pay. That money for property taxes that is currently being held as wealth in this systemic situation is what contributes to the chronic underfunding of the infrastructure of these students that could have been dealt with had there been an ongoing influx for capital improvements.